Hello everyone, I'm SurrealBeliefs, and well, it's time for some Battlefield 4 commentary. Man, let me tell you, I've been playing this game non-stop with Red One's Candy, and we love it so much. It's been a great time, and we've been able to enhance our skills at the FPS genre. And really, I've gotten a lot better, thankfully, over time. I mean, if you play a game often enough, you should be getting better, right? At least I hope so. And so I've slowly become better, and this may not be my best clip here, but it was a pretty fun match, though. We're playing in a very close, more urban type of setting. I mean, not really urban as if people live there, but it's just very close quarters combat, and so it's really enjoyable. And so I want to go ahead and run through some questions that people had for me, as I know that people want to know a little bit more about the commentator here, which would be me in this case, me, SurrealBeliefs. But anyway, so first question, we'll go through the run-of-the-mill stuff, just the basic stuff here. And so I was being asked, how old are you? Well, I'm actually 22 years old, and I'll be turning, well, 23 if I make it to the next year, and hopefully I'll be 23. And then my name is Matthew, or Matt, or you can just call me, I don't know, Matigo. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't ever call me that. That's just a joke. You don't need to. And where am I from? Well, I'm from the southern United States, believe it or not. I've lived here all my life, and one day I will move, but I do enjoy the friendliness of the people here. It's been a nice experience to have that type of upbringing, to be near people who are just very proactive in terms of socializing with others. And do I go to university? Right now, I do not. I'm taking a break. I wanted to take a break in order to pay off some loans, and you know, those ever haunting loans. They like to gouge you for all that you're worth. Anyway, so I'm taking a break, but I should be going back this spring, and so that will certainly be a great thing. And I'm currently majoring in literature. Now, that's because, well, I love literature, and I also love to write. Now, do I ever see myself being published? I don't know. Maybe. I don't have the patience or time to sit down and write out every story that pops in my head, but I do write short stories, mostly fantasy, non-fiction based, and from that point on, I really enjoy writing research papers, which is odd, right? But I really enjoy putting together a nice argument or thesis and just getting all of my supporting data and just going from there. But anyway, I had a more serious question too, and the next one would be, how has running a large YouTube channel like yours affected you personally? It's a big investment of your personal time and mental resources, so I'm curious what, if any, challenges you've had to overcome in balancing your constant upload schedule and the demand for more content with playing games for fun and taking time out to be an actual human being. Well, this question will take me maybe a little bit to answer. I'm not really sure, but first off, I will go ahead and go on about why I began YouTube to begin with. I really had no plan to become big. I had no clue you could even get paid from this. And so I was in university at that time, and I was having issues with public speaking, where you have to get in front of a class and you have to be at least somewhat presentable in order to, well, just better present your information and hopefully get a better mark or grade or however you term it from your instructor or professor. Now, I was having a very hard time with that. I always had this thing called stage fright, and so it would really begin to hinder me as I went further and further into university. It began to cause me stress as I had to do a lot of public speaking. And so I was watching some people on YouTube, and I was thinking to myself, man, these people put themselves out there on a very personal level, even if they're not honest about who they are, because not everyone has to be, but they really go out there to entertain other people and to talk at a constant flow or rate or whatever they do. And so I just tried it one day, and I didn't have the best computer in the world. I don't come from money. I don't come from wealth, so everything that I have worked for. And so at that time, my rig was maybe, I think, what, like 2 to 3 to 4 years old, probably around 3. And so, well, in the PC world, it's rather ancient. And so I had my headset mic and I had my PC, and I just began to play from there, and it just kind of went on, and it grew into something that became a major part of my life. It became really part of my everyday schedule. Now, I used to go out quite a bit, and I enjoyed being with my friends all the time, but I saw myself being inside a lot more. I saw myself enjoying my own company a lot more. So when it comes to affecting my personal time, I would say that yes, it does, because I spent a great deal of time recording or rendering or editing footage or even just putting together commentary. If I don't like what I record, and this has happened so many times, I do it almost every day. I will scrap that whole clip, whether it's 20 minutes long, 30 or 40 minutes long. I will scrap it and redo it from scratch. And so really, it's a huge drain on my time, but is it a negative thing? No, it's been a great thing. It's been a very positive experience in my life. I've been able to make friends. Yeah, they've been on the internet, but I've made a lot of great friends. I've met a lot of outstanding people. And so it's certainly been fantastic. And I'm going to be backtracking a little bit here and there because I really like this question and I think it's a great question. And so now the mental resource part, does it drain me? Yes, it does. To be able to talk at a constant rate, I'm a very introverted guy. Now, I can go out there and I can socialize and I can be like, yeah, man, what's up? How are you doing? Not really like that because I would be a bit weird if I did that. But anyway, after I'm done socializing, I like to be to myself. I like to read. I like to play games, watch films. I just like to take walks on my own time and be alone to recharge. And so to constantly talk, to put myself out there like this, to talk this much, it really does drain me. But I enjoy it so much. I love interacting with all of my fans, all of my viewers and friends. And so it's all worth it. And from that point on, I do not game for fun very much. Now, when I say that, I'm having fun as I record, but what I mean is that I don't game without recording very much. That's a better way to put it. I go ahead, and if I'm gaming, I'm probably recording just at any one time because you kind of get that thought in your head, why am I just gaming when I could be recording? I mean, I always have more to do. It's a never-ending flow of work that needs to be done. And so I really like to just get out there and start having fun and showing people what I'm having fun for. So that's why I will kind of spice games up a bit by playing a variety of them on my channel, because if I'm getting bored, then I have to switch. And so I tell people all the time when they go, well, why did you start this new series when you're not done with your previous one? And I go, well, I was getting bored. I was getting burned out. I need new games. And so as they say, and as some of you may have heard me say, variety is a spice of life. And so from that point on, I just like to play a variety of games, and that really helps me keep having fun. And so let's go ahead and go to the next question. Would you want to grow out to be a huge channel with Smosh level views and subs, or would you rather have a smaller fan base with people you get to know better over time? Now, for this question here, let me tell you one thing, okay? People have this view that if you make money on YouTube, it is a negative thing, that you are a sellout, that you are this and that. All right, now I understand that you want people who have a passion, who you may have a passion for, you want them to do it just for fun. Like when we hear people sing or play in a band, we want them to not just do it for the money. We want them to view us as a person and not just an element to help them earn revenue. Now, in this case, some people do YouTube solely for the money. That's fine. They're providing a service called entertainment. And so if they want to get paid for that, that's fine. More power to them. Now, with that said, I really do not see myself doing this as a career. It's not my goal. It's not what I want to do with my life. Now, for some people, that's fine, but really, it requires me to be inside too much. There's so much out there in the world. And again, I don't come from money. I don't have a family that can just send me on trips all over the world, because I see some people who are able to go on trips to other countries constantly, and I'm like, wow, I barely get to go to a different state. So I really want to get to a point where I have a job that I love. And that job would be, and sorry, I had to take a pause there. That job would be teaching. I really love to teach, and if not teaching, then I would just like to be able to, I don't know, write. I would like to write. I would like to research. I would like to write academic papers, which on that note, on a side note, there's a lot of fraud out there now because we put a emphasis on getting papers done and not checking their accuracy. But anyway, that's a completely different note there. But anyway, so I don't really see YouTube as a future career for me. Now, it's a nice thing to do for now, and I hope that I will always have it as a hobby. But really, I do not want to make my living from just this, because when I see how they have to live, which if they like it, again, that's great. That's fantastic for them. It's just not my cup of tea. I would like for this to always be a hobby, to where I'm doing it for fun, and any money that I do earn, I have bought games and I put it all into my recording equipment. All right. Most of it has gone back into what I'm doing right now because why? It's a hobby. I'm in university. I just want to have fun right now and enjoy myself. And again, a lot of people like to take it to a business level. Now, I will do my best. There's a difference between having a hobby too and just messing around. In this case, because it's a hobby of mine, I want to do my best. So I'm trying to improve as a commentator, as a person through this field, so that I can provide better entertainment for, well, all my viewers and all that great stuff. And then, let's see, do you like Star Wars, the films, not the games? Well, that is a question that I have to think on for a brief moment, right? I do enjoy Star Wars quite a bit. I have since I was a young laddie, and so I will say that the films are great entertainment. Are they great films in terms of the scripts? No. I think in that regard, they're terrible. The casting wasn't always that great, but in terms of being just a epic space opera, this was it. These films, they spur the imagination. They make you think about what is out there. They make you think about intergalactic warfare, which is on a completely different level from the typical run-of-the-mill fantasy, which I do love, by the way. I grew up reading the Dragonlance books, and so, man, I bought so many of those books. I never see books as a waste of money, and I always told myself the day that I ever became a father, I would never say no to books. I would always make time and money to buy any child books, just because it is such a way, a gateway to the world and understanding other people. And so it's just very important to read. But anyway, we're not going on that topic about books. But anyway, yeah, I do enjoy the films. I do enjoy all of them, even the ones that are quite hated, the prequels. I do wish that the dialogue was a bit more coherent and well put together, but I do enjoy them. And then I had another question here. What's the meaning of life, Surreal? Well, what is the meaning of life? That is a question that I guess is asked by every generation that has come about in this world here. Honestly, what I think is that the meaning of life varies from person to person. Every person is in charge of giving their own life meaning, whether it's great or not, that is up to them. But I will say that we have a limited time here, and in time, most likely our names will be forgotten. We will be passed on by generations and time. And that's a natural thing. There's nothing to fear or be sad about that. So with that in mind, it's best to make the most of what you have right now. Now, with that said, you shouldn't feel stressed or pressured to do great things. If you just want to enjoy a very simple and plain life, do it. That life that you have, it is all that you truly own. It is all that you really have. And so you really, in my view, need to find a pleasure in life that you can commit to. Now, on that note, with what you want, it needs to make sure that it does not infringe, and I don't mean to sound preachy or anything like that, it's just my personal views here. It shouldn't infringe on the happiness or the well-being of other people. I mean, we're all these people on a stage here. We're all supporting actors playing this great play called life, and so there is no greater than the other. And so the meaning of life is what you give it, which is a truism. It's a obvious thing to say, but really that's how I feel on it. Now, I found myself at various points in my own life. I would compare myself to other people going, man, why am I not at a higher level like them? Why am I not there? Why am I not doing better? Why don't I have more to show for my life? But then I just thought, like, man, I'm spending all my time comparing myself to other people when I should just be focusing on myself. If I want to improve my own self for the sake of improvement, that is a very powerful and amazing thing. However, to want to just improve yourself because you feel like you lack at all times, well, let me tell you this out of personal experience. At that point, you will always be lacking. You will never be good enough if you constantly have to justify your own self-worth based off of other people. So if you're at a stage in your life right now where you're thinking, man, I'm not good enough, all right, that is a setback. That is a mental block that you have right now that you have constructed. And the power of the mind is so incredible that really you have to use it wisely. You have to elevate yourself. And now I don't mean to just boost your self-esteem, but just to really set goals for yourself that you can reach one step at a time and advance. But anyway, the meaning of life Find happiness, treasure it. Do not throw it away for some brief, momentary want. Because more often than not, I have found that in my own experience, once again, that whenever you have a stable, nice happiness, you will often want more. You will always want more. And I feel like that is part of the human condition, that you constantly want to change, that to stagnate in your youth is often seen as a terrible thing. But with that said, it's just all about finding a balance of growth and just being content too with what you have. Now here's another question that I really liked. Sorry for that little pop there. That was my chair. But talk about your greatest experience in life that made you the man you are today. Really, that's a hard question for me to answer, but I do have a response for it. Well, I can think back to high school where I had a teacher and his name was Mr. A. He was an educated man who was meant to go get his master's, but he was married at that point, and he knew that if he went down that route, he would have to sacrifice so much time with his wife and his future kids, or his kids at that time. So he chose to just graduate from college and teach at a high school level. This man was brilliant. He was from the north of Massachusetts and just a brilliant, intelligent man. And I remember his accent too. I need to take out the garbage, or here's some pepper. And anyway, I can't really do it that well. But anyway, he had a very distinct accent, which really made himself stand out besides just being a very interesting guy. And so one thing that stood out for me was that he was very loving with his wife. He had a beautiful wife, and they were always together, just holding hands, and they would always talk. And I remember, and just to kind of go to how he interacted with me, is that in class, he was a chemistry teacher. He taught physics too. As I said, a true scientist, a very educated man. And he would, at the end of class, instead of just letting us sit there, let's say if we were done with our lecture for that day, he would read to us from Lord Byron and various other great writers of the past. And he would ask us, like, what did this mean? What did this mean, or that, or this and that? And so I would be the one answering at that point, because, well, this was my passion. I wasn't always the best in the sciences. I was average, because it didn't really strike a chord with me, but literature was. And so I remember from that point on, after I had his class, we would speak almost every day. We would talk outside of class, and we would talk about politics, religion, science, everything. And so I really got to know him very well. And at the end of that year, teachers would choose a student to talk on, and he knew a lot of those kids there for a long time. We were all in school together, many of us for over 10 years. And he knew many of these kids since they were little kids, little young kids. And he chose to speak for me, and he gave a speech on things about me. And I remember sitting there in the pews and just, I really teared up, because I never knew that someone viewed me in such a way. And he said that talking to Matthew was like having a oasis in the desert. And when he told me that, it has always stuck in my mind. And even now I get a little emotional thinking on everything that he said. And so he always pushed for me to learn, to better myself. And he showed me that there was actual love out there that you could have in a marriage, or just with whoever you were with, because I'm a product of parents who did split up when I was very young, and that really affected my life. So to see that just positive light was just so great, and it impacted me so much. And even right now I'm getting a little choked up. And anyway, there was another time too in university, in my basic English courses, there was a Professor Marsh. He was a very strict man. He served in the National Guard, and he was no nonsense. Nice guy, but if you messed around in his class, he would just chew you out right then. And I remember we spoke about halfway through our first term, and we just started to talk more and more, and I told him about my fear of public speech. And it was actually in his class when I gave a speech, and I did very well. I was charismatic like I am when I can be from time to time, and that was fantastic. I was just making jokes and just being myself, and it felt good. And anyway, I remember on the second term that we had, on the final test that we had, because we would talk quite a bit too, he said, Matthew, it was a pleasure to have you in my class, and make sure that you always write. Keep on writing. And so really these people impacted my life so much, and I would say that they really inspired me to learn, to grow, and to become a better person at all times. And so really a long answer, but these people, and I could go on and on about people who may have impacted my life, but these two stand out so much about who made me the man that I am right now. And so I'm actually running out of time right now, but I do have a few more questions, and I will certainly cover them in another video. And if you want me to talk about whatever, if you want to ask me for advice or anything, just feel free to ask me in a message in the comments below or whatever. And so just let me know what you thought of this video. Make sure that you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I shall see all of you later. And as always, until then,